Hello, my name is Sarah. Today we're going to be looking at Faerie Enchantments by Ian Daniels, who is also the maker of Tarot the Vampires with the wonderful guidebook called Phantasmagoria. Going back to the tarot really quick, his artwork is stunning, and the book itself is very in depth. It is probably one of the best guidebooks that I have personally seen. It is deep with meaning. It goes deep into like the Kabbalah. It goes into astrology. It is, it's just deep with meaning. So if you have, to pick one dark deck to really sink your teeth into, this is a recommendation. So going back to Faerie Enchantments, it is an independent deck. So I believe there's actually a link that you can go to on Kickstarter, and you can go that way and pick it up. The box itself is nice. It's got the lovely sigil on the back, and it does come with this extra card that we will touch back on here momentarily. So the inside is this lovely like sepia tone, and it has this little book. Now, despite its size, has a lot of info in here, and I'm going to actually kind of go into this deeply while I flip through the cards as well. So, but it has some lovely illustrations, and it's hefty with knowledge, that's for sure. The cards themselves are two-sided. So these are the fronts of the cards, and it is kind of a muted like color palette. The size is, a little bit bigger than a standard Llewellyn tarot card, so like pretty much a standard oracle size, and they do have this lovely like pink gilding on this side. So yeah, as you can see, it's the coloration is pretty like muted, but still a little bit of color in there, and that is the back of the card. So they are quite lovely. So despite the guidebook's small size, it actually does have quite a bit of information. It is information dense. I did take several pages of notes, and I will be running through this as quickly as possible. As you can probably tell, this is not the Disney version of Faerie. This is definitely the darker version, the more real version, in my opinion, of fairies. So enjoy. So in the first few pages of the guidebook, Ian Daniels discusses the topic of hedge witch, and which means basically working with herbal magic, an emphasis on nature, that they may or may not work with gods or goddesses, that changes of the season are very important, often referred to as the green craft. It also includes folk customs, and hedge meaning that the border between worlds. And on the other side, he speaks of high magic, which is, rites, rituals, ceremonial magic, and usually has a hierarchy. He goes on to say that the word witch was derived from the word wise. So wisecraft or witchcraft is craft of the wise. He continues on to talk about Celtic deities and the spirits, which is basically creatures of the other world. In Welsh, the other world was named Onwin. I may have pronounced that wrong, I apologize. Also known as the Summerlands, the Enchanted Isles, and in Irish, the she it's kind of interchanged between a place, like a mound, like a she mound, or creatures themselves, like the actual fairies, the otherworldly beings themselves. The deities featured on the cards can be understood as spiritual allegories, which are stories, poems, or pictures of nature, the elements, and the seasons. He goes on to state that we are born of this land of growth and abundance, which is the central concept of the deck, and also has a lot of druid inspiration. We are all atoms of vibrating energy and not as solid as you may think. We are, in fact, more pliable, and so is the universe. Manifestation is, quote unquote, the seed of essence, which is energy vibration, and there are four stages or four seeds, which are, in fact, the four elements. Basically, if you believe it to be fact, it will be true. There are 40 cards in this deck. Cards 1 through 24 represent infinite possibility to the spiritual conception to birth into the physical world. Cards 25 through 40, the birth is represented by the evolution of the four elements: fire, realm of spirit; water, emotion; air, thought; and earth, physical manifestation. Each card has an element and stage of development. On each card, there's an inventory of items along with a rune for that particular fairy. These items are called magical ingredients and are defined by Celtic symbolism in fairy tales, Celtic root work, mythology, astrology, and tarot. If you were wanting to do a working with this deck, you would select 3 cards with your intention that you would like to manifest and use up to 3 to 6 ingredients, selecting at least one ingredient from each card. You would select the 3 cards from the 3 words on the top of the cards. The top word for the first card, the second word for the second card, and the third word for the last card, which would state the basic meaning for the enchantment. The second step would be to write down the 3 words and then a clear affirmation, 1 sentence, including names, places, times, etc. The next step would be to take 3 runes, the 3 runes from each of the cards, and create a new rune that is personalized for your working. This would be like sigil working or chaos magic. After that, you would gather magical components from one of each card. Write down the words under the affirmation. You would incorporate any of these items the way you choose, such as a magical charm. Say if you have a river on your card, you can actually go to a river and collect a rock from the river. Next would be to write down your enchantment procedure. Now this would be very personal. This could be anything from casting a circle, or going to a secluded location or somewhere that's special to you. It could be lighting incense. This is your personal touch. Once you gather all of your items, you would go along with your procedure. You would read the affirmation out loud, and you're supposed to follow it by all win, all win, all win. So mote it be. Next, you're supposed to put all of the items, including the cards, into a box for 3 days. And basically forget about it. You're putting it into the universe for it to manifest. After the 3 days are over, you can remove the cards from the box, put them back with the deck, and take your trinkets or charms out of the box and put them with the rest of your stuff. He does give some examples, like if you are trying to find a lost object, you could choose discover lost matter. So there are 2 cards in the deck that are different from the rest: the Beloved and Alwyn. Alwyn is pure essence. It's the items and places that you create in your imagination to draw magical inspiration. It's basically a wild card, whereas the Beloved actually uses your sun, moon, and ascending card to fill in the blanks. It would essentially make the card personalized to you, as it would be your sun, moon, and rising. So to use as an example, I wanted to pick a combination that was like weird and socially awkward. So I am a Libra. My moon sign is Capricorn, and my ascending or rising is Taurus. So I would find the associated cards on from the index card and lay them out. And then I would select an item to basically substitute for the beloved. So whenever I would see the beloved card, come up in a reading or a drawing, I would associate these elements with that particular card. So I decided to share an example of how to do an enchantment. So I selected 3 cards for my enchantment. So I did attract, abundant, fortune. So the first word from the first card, the second word from the second card, and the third word from the third card. And you're supposed to write that on top. And then after that, you are supposed to write an affirmation that's clear and direct. So for this example, it's pretty simple. And then at that point, you're supposed to take the runes from each card and basically generate your own rune, combining the runes that are actually on the card. Then you're supposed to take at least one magical ingredient from each card. I happen to choose butterfly, bone, and bracelet, and you're supposed to write them on the bottom of your affirmation paper. I happen to have like it's actually a butterfly wing that I got years ago. So this is what I had on hand. And once you have all your stuff together, you're supposed to put everything in a box. So I'm just going to fold my little piece of paper up. So inside goes the cards, your affirmation, and your trinkets. At that point, you're supposed to tuck it away for 3 days, and after that is done, you can come back, get your stuff, and put the cards back with the deck. In all fairness, I barely scratched the surface on the information with this deck, such as like magical numbers. But in reality, it can work just like a regular Oracle deck too. It does have that potential. It is a fantastic deck with a lot of depth. So thank you for joining me. I hope you liked it. Bye.